Thank you, Sergio Satellite. He's been a featured reader at Secret Loft before, and I was gonna say, because obviously everyone's been super polite and not chatted while the poets were performing and everything, but you're welcome to, like, you can tap someone and be like, that was real good. Or, you can have conversations in the side room or whatever, really. But everybody's being super attentive. This is amazing. Not really, this is how everybody always is, but I appreciate it. So our first featured reader, Roxanne Hoffman, runs the independent literary press Poets Wear Prada with John Jack Edward Cooper. Her works can be found in cyberspace, at Indie Feed Performance Poetry, The Pedestal Magazine, The New Verse News, Set to Music, and David Morneau's Love Songs, and on the silver screen, 2005 indie flick Love and the Vampire. In print, The Bandana Republic, several more. Her elegiac poem, In Loving Memory, illustrated by Edward Odwit, was released as a chapbook in 2011. Still working through this, jeez. Her latest collaboration with Edward, the Little Entomologist, was released in 2018. It's on Amazon, you can find it there. She is currently completing a manuscript of Cinquain poems riffing classic fairy tales. Give it up for Roxanne Hoffman.
You guys are a hard act to follow. I don't know if I can pull this off, but we're gonna do some Halloween stuff in the spirit of Halloween. So I'm gonna start with Dream Lover. Dream Lover. Each night is much like any other. Tonight she stands before him, her naked body tinged red by the fire behind her, her loose hair softly haloed by the full moon shining above them. He stretches out a hand to greet her, a hand she takes most willingly. Encouraged by her gentle touch to grow bolder, he wraps himself around to enfold her to his heart, and pressing his lips upon her shivering shoulder, imparts the sweet, wet kiss of an ancient lover, only to find her colder than the frost and himself awake at the recollection of his loss. Each moonful night I lay in wait, anticipate your tenderness, unlock the doors, unlatch the gate, the sun still setting in the west, in hope that you will wander in. Grant me 3 wishes like a djinn. I long for you to reappear. The moon ascending to its crest, dark silhouette behind drawn shears. I close my eyes and hold my breath. The rustle of your crinoline cape, your lips pressed wet upon my nape. I quiver at your slightest touch. Your fingers float across my face. With probing tongues we clasp and clutch. Hearts skip a beat and start to race. I softly moan until released. Drift Milky Way in happy peace. To wake up lone to find you gone. Less lucid by the bright of day. The sky resplendent with the dawn. I kneel before the sun and pray that some way soon you'll wake with me where full moons never wane. This kiss, bite me and delight me. For who can blame my brave little vampire for igniting desire with fury's fiery flame? Drink my blood, make my eyes flood with tears as your fangs shear through flesh, hastening swift, shallow breaths. Plunder the thinly veiled vein, pulsing bulge beneath neck. Come, share your pain, hold time's passage in check. Fill your lips, pursing prize, and our ears with wild cries as I shudder and tremble, relinquishing all with a sigh. Giving semblance to death, Disassembled we rise, as we sever respective realities' ties, mumble humbling prayer, as false-footed we stumble, vacant eyes, bloodshot stare, while colliding worlds crumble, till your lips lock to mine, intertwining limbs and tongues like two twisted vines. We, crossing chasm of death, hastening life's liquid line, to stay forever young, reshape destiny's design. Such longing, oh, so human, yet this kiss, so divine. Dare I tell of demon spell, of mirrors I dare not pass, for now I face an empty glass, where once I graced a splendid figure, now erased. I peer, reflecting only space, and yet I see these haggard hands stretched out before me, nails gnarled, bony knuckles cracked, and their shifting shadows cast, when thumbs linked with long fingers waving like a winged rat in flight. Dare I tell of demon spell, of window shades I dare not raise, where once I sat sunning, and praise countless cloudless blue sky days, from which now I shrink shunning the sun's scorching hellish blaze. And yet I yearn for light, but must settle for the fleeting flickers of imitation sun by way of brass candlesticks and whale eye wicks. Dare I tell of demon spell, of late night walk and stealth-like stalk, of fangs flesh rip with blood-stained lip, of faces left as white as chalk and heavy heads slumped over, with limbs limp and lifeless, dumped in shallow graves. Dare I tell of demon spell, of home sweet haven, now choking, sunless vaulted cell, of life so lonely hell. Dare I, for who would listen to my complaints, some noble patient saint, or some sly slayer laying in wait for me to make some mistake, and so trap me. The hunt. We trudged up the steep hill, beating a path beneath us with our feet, kicking up loose rocks and the dry dust whirling all around us, trying not to look back down at the village bustling below, less real with every step, like a faraway fairyland disappearing into the mist. We searched and searched, peering into every cave and stirring every hollow we passed, the brush whipping against our bare arms and legs, sometimes slicing our hands as we pushed it away to keep it from scraping our faces. Without mind to thorn and thistle, we kept plodding on until the brush opened up into a bright sunlit clearing, a meadow filled with billowing Queen Anne's lace. A wave of bluebells beckoned us in the breeze. A lone lark atop a sisal sang its lilting melody. By then exhausted, we tumbled down one by one, landing on the soft, fragrant beds of clover, the sweet dew-drenched grass kissing our faces. I found myself kneeling, clutching a single blade of grass as if in prayer, grateful and guilty that we hadn't found him. And then I saw the sun begin to set, its color changing from yellow to orange to red, growing rounder and larger as it sank, and remembering just how far away we were from home and the safety of our beds. I shouted a warning cry. Quickly, we scrambled to our feet, our faces tinged red by the setting sun, our shadows trailing behind us like guideposts as we started the slow descent back down the hill after the sun, always one step behind, never quite catching up. You see, time was on his side, and the nighttime his playtime, and we were his toys. Make the most out of being a ghost. Learn to spook the most spectacle host. Newly dead raves. Rise from your graves. Get what you crave, so when it's depraved, stop eating your shroud for crying out loud. Get those coffins unhinged. Start a brain-eating binge. Learn to drink blood till they drop with a thud. Scare the living daylights out of living people. Rattle the bones. Whimper and moan. Haunting their homes. Chanting tantric tomes. While you carry your head. Fill this with dread. Scare the living daylights out of living people. Learn how to thump. Go bump in the night. Flicker the lights. Give them a fright. See how they run. Isn't that fun? Scare the living daylights out of living people. Float through the air with hardly a care. Suspended, still perched on their dining room chairs. Laugh as they stare, raising their hair. Send them to church, saying their prayers. Scare the living daylights out of living people. Give them a hand, ain't this body mint grand? Then wriggle the stumps to give them goosebumps. Whoever and break while they shiver and shake. Scare the living daylights out of living people. For comic relief, make them chatter their teeth. Howl like the wind, get them guzzling gin. Speaking in tongues at the top of your lungs. Disappear into mist with a flick of the wrist. Visit them in the loony bin. Scare the living daylights out of living people. Never again will they call you has been. Never again will they say old fogey. Once you were shy, now you are here. Just because you died and reappeared. Isn't the afterlife wondrous and weird? Happy Halloween.